predict when our customers are going to be impacted by a specific service based on their entitlements. Really powerful stuff. Let's move to the next slide. What you get when this is all put together is truly a platform of platforms, connecting specific systems of record on the bottom, and we're creating digital workflows to the end user with business context. We're doing so with consumer-grade services and any medium of communication or application that your consumers prefer. We're providing self-help service via knowledge base and service catalog for an e-commerce experience, machine learning and artificial intelligence that really take that to the next level. Again, I don't want to leave off the ability to build your own applications with no code, low code, or pro code, depending on your needs. That's a quick overview of what ServiceNow is. Without delay, I'll turn it over to Gain Nazareth for the demonstration.
Thanks, Tim. And as an introduction of myself, I am Gain Nazareth. I'm a solutions architect. I've been with ServiceNow for a little over 4 years, actually closing in on 4.5 years. And during this time, I've supported primarily the Air Force, as well as some of the other services, and then some of the smaller defense agencies. I just wanted to reemphasize Tim's message on a couple of housekeeping items. This is a webinar, so as you join, you're automatically muted. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat or in the Q&A section. My team will be monitoring that, so if any questions come up, they will bring it up, and they'll basically read it out loud, and we will address them. Okay, with that said, let's get right to it. Our demonstration today will focus on 3 different personas. The first one happens to be John Smith. John is a requester. John could essentially be anybody who requests products or services. In this case, John could be an airman, a contractor, or any point of contact within your organization. A requester would typically perform actions such as requesting assistance, ordering an asset, submitting tickets, initiating an idea or requirement, or even checking the status of his or her ticket or request. For this demo, since we are focused mainly on the service desk aspect of ITSM, John Smith will be submitting a ticket directly through the self-service portal. Next, we have Gain Nazareth, and that's me. I'll play the part of an agent. An agent could be somebody who fulfills a request, maybe resolves a ticket, completes a task, approves a change, works on a defect or enhancement, or even responds to inquiries. This persona is essentially the worker bee persona. It's the folks who work in ServiceNow on a daily basis. If you think about it, that's the whole concept of service management, right? You've got the requesters on one end who would request a product or a service. In this case, since we're focused on the service desk, this person would submit a ticket. And on the other end, you have agents or fulfillers who would fulfill this request, who would resolve the ticket. And we've got all these different capabilities at the agent's disposal to actually improve and make it as efficient as possible. And lastly, we've got Sarah Anderson. Sarah is a manager. She could be an executive, an SES, a program director, or even a mid-level manager. Her persona will focus on dashboards and reports. She'll use these dashboards to measure metrics and track key performance indicators as they relate to the mission and to the business. As we go through this demo, we intend on emphasizing the key value propositions ServiceNow is able to provide, which includes improved user experience, faster time to resolution of tickets and requests, decreased costs, and enhanced visibility. I'd like to take a quick pause before I switch to the demo to see if there are any questions. Venkat or Jen, are there any questions on the chat?
There are currently no questions in Q&A or in the chat.
I did have one question come in on a separate channel, Gain. Is ServiceNow a web-based system?
Yes. So ServiceNow is a web-based system. The good news is you don't have to install an app on your computer. You can access it directly from a browser. Obviously, we have authentication methods where we can leverage your Cac. make sure you're on the AppNet, things like that, right? But at the end of the day, you can access everything through a browser, or if you want it on a mobile device, we're able to do so as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to switch over to my browser. Okay, so what we're looking at is what we refer to as our service portal. This is the out-of-the-box end-user interface to engage with the service desk. We provide an omni-channel approach for engagement. We can do so through traditional ways of phone and email, as well as some of the newer channels of chat and text. But the most preferred way is through self-service, through the service portal that you're seeing right now. And you'll see why in a minute, right? I'll go over all the capabilities on the screen in the next minute or so, in the next couple of minutes, actually. Before I do that, I just wanted to show you some of the examples of what some of our other customers are doing from a portal perspective. Now, like I mentioned, this one you're looking at right now is completely out of the box. Just to give you a couple examples, this is the ITAS portal at the Air Force. And this is not the exact portal. I just copied over the branding and some of the images. I'm not allowed to show a live Air Force system on a public webinar, right? So what I did is I just copied the branding over into one of my instances. I'll be using this one for the demo. But again, just if you notice, we can actually rebrand this. We can make it your own based on your requirements and your preferences. Another example, and I'm going to stick with the college or the university theme today because, again, I don't want to show any DoD websites in a public webinar, but this is BYU. This is a live website. You can Google this up. This is how BYU leverages IT to support requests from faculty and students. If you notice, there are live chats. You can call. You have all the different requests. And at any point in time, you can provide your feedback as well. Along the same lines, here's another one, and this is Loyola Marymount University. Very similar, but if you notice, the branding and the look and feel is totally different. And lastly, this is a company that's very near and dear to me, especially during these unprecedented times. Like most, we're all stuck at home, right? And in my case, I've got a couple of kids. And during the day, we need to keep them busy. So what I do is I turn on Disney Plus, and that keeps them busy for a couple hours, at least to get some work done, right, on my end. But I just wanted to mention that Disney is a huge customer of ServiceNow, just like a lot of other customers, including Walmart, Microsoft, and several big companies. The support portal, and again, this can be Googled up. You just Google up Disney Help Center. This is all run on ServiceNow. So through this website, you're able to troubleshoot, you're able to set up your packages, you're able to manage your account, and several other things, even request support. So again, just another example. We've got tons of more examples, tons of more customers. We've got over 4,000 at this point. Happy to show you, happy to provide references upon request. All right, I'm going to go ahead and navigate into the portal. But before I do that, just wanted to, again, take a quick pause and see if there are any questions.
I don't have any Q&A or chat right now. Thank you.
Perfect.
Nope, none on my end either.
Awesome. All right. Okay. If you notice, when we design ServiceNow, we try to keep it as simplistic as possible, right? We want to make it very intuitive. We obviously want to make it visually appealing as well, but simplicity is the key, right? You talk about Google and things like that, making things as simple as possible. So if you look at this portal, you're looking at 4 major sections. The first one on the top right, where you're able to see your menu, right? All the menu items that apply to you. We also have a search bar, as well as some of the functions or tiles, if you'd like to call it that are available to you. And then lastly, at the bottom, you'll see a virtual agent. Now, we keep, again, I mentioned we keep it as simple to use as possible, but we also provide you tools to self-enable, right? Get self-acclimated with the system. Obviously, when I say self, it's by yourself, right? You don't need to take additional training. But once you log into ServiceNow, once you hit the URL, we can have this automatically pop up. It's a tour which gives you a walkthrough of every single function on the screen. And you have this across the entire platform, right? So it kind of gives you, again, a step-by-step walkthrough of pretty much everything you see, just to kind of get you get you acclimated with the system. With that said, I was going to really quickly open up the virtual agent and go over some of the out-of-the-box functionality that's available to you. So pretty much anything you can do on the website, on the portal, you can leverage the virtual agent to help you do it. As an example, I'm going to just have it open up all the different conversations, all the predefined conversations. And you're looking at things like checking IT ticket statuses. You could put in a new change request. If you've activated the HR components, you can also do inquiries on HR, information on policy if that's something that's available. You can look at your assigned equipment, open tickets, all kinds of things over here. And these are some of the pre-canned workflows, but obviously you're allowed to create new ones as well based on your business and based on your requirements and your mission. In this use case, I'm just going to check the status of IT tickets. So I'm logged in as John Smith, as you can see in the top right. And as John Smith, I'm going to go ahead and ask the virtual agent. And this virtual agent is completely automated. There's nobody in the back end. If you want to have a chat with one of the agents, you can always click on the live chat that will connect you directly to one of the agents. But this is completely automated that you're looking at right now. So based on me selecting, or rather based on John selecting check IT status, IT ticket status, the system is telling him that it's checked and John has 5 open incidents and 1 requested item. And obviously the question says, do you want to check the status of the incident or the requested item? Let's go ahead with incident. It now gives John a list of all the active incidents that John has actually submitted. He can click on any of them. Let's click on the first one. He's able to see some of the details, including the short description, the state, when it was last updated, and some additional comments. If he wants to drill into it even further, he can just click on that link, and it actually takes him to the ticket. At this point, he's able to see the number, the state, the priority, all the data contained within the ticket, as well as all the collaboration between him and the agent. In this case, John is the requester and Gain is the agent, right? So at any point in time, across the ServiceNow system, John never has to pick up the phone and call the service desk to check the status of a request or a ticket. This is completely available to him. Again, this is a quick time save. Instead of being on a call for 10, 15, 20 minutes, you always have visibility into what you'd like. Okay, so that's that. Also, there are other ways. Oh, by the way, John can add a comment. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Okay, so I've ended this discussion. I'm going to take a quick pause. Any questions coming in?
I do not have anything. Oh, hold on. If I'm running a maintenance shop, will I be able to track and manage the ticket other people submit?
Yes. We can set it up in a way where when a ticket is submitted, you can submit it on behalf of somebody else. So with any ticket or any request, you've got the submitter and you've got the requester. So obviously, if you're running a maintenance shop and you are requesting services or products or submitting tickets on behalf of other folks, you're able to do that. All right. At any point in time, you can leverage the community. So this is one aspect of ServiceNow which we see being leveraged a lot on the commercial side, not so much on the
Jay.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have one more question in the standard chat from Tim Rodkey at 38.
Okay.
Question is the incident management internal to ServiceNow or integrated with an external ticket management like Remedy?
No, this is complete. Everything you see today is complete ServiceNow functionality. Yes, we can integrate with Remedy, and we do so for certain customers. But this is completely, everything you're seeing today, the incident management component is ServiceNow specific. And yes, we can integrate Remedy. We're doing it right now for the 8 bases on the ITAS program. All right, moving on. By the way, if I answer any questions and I don't address everything in your question, feel free to continue the chat and let me know if I need to expand. All right, so as for the community, this is something that you could leverage, and we can set it up so that it's only available to your command or your group or however you define it. But here's where you can post questions, you can blog, put on videos, documents, events. Again, this is all CAC authenticated, so it remains in the system. But this is something you can definitely engage. We're seeing more and more folks do this as we continue to launch communities. Also, at any point in time, we talked about requesting products and services. We are able to actually provide you a service catalog, very similar to Amazon, right? That's a simple catalog, very easy to use. At any point in time, you come in here, you can see all the popular items. You can pick and choose what category you're looking for. This is completely configurable on your end. Let's say you're looking to order some hardware assets. You click on hardware and you'll see all the available assets. Same with software, same with pretty much any service out there. I wasn't going to put in a request on this demo because we, again, focus mainly on the service desk where somebody submits a ticket. But we will obviously address this in one of the following demos.
Again, while we are in the portal here, I think it's a good time for another comment that came through. Just a recommendation to explain that ITAS bases have their own portal interface for ticketing, and also that ServiceNow is the back end to that. And if I've misrepresented that comment, please provide a clarification. So again, as far as ITAS and how it is architected today, just give us a brief overview of the experiment and how it's, what services are being delivered, and how does that play into the overall Air Force architecture?
Yep, absolutely. So for those of you who are familiar, or unfamiliar rather, ITAS is Enterprise IT as a Service. It's a RRE risk reduction effort for the Air Force. It's an OTA. And the scope of that OTA for end user services, which obviously comprises of the Enterprise Service Desk and the EUD, which is end user device. So it's all your assets, computers, laptops, things like that. That's currently being leveraged across 8 bases, Buckley being one of them, Alfred being another one. So there's several bases in that 8. There's obviously plans for expansion over time. But the software, the back end of all of this is all done on ServiceNow, as well as the front end. So the portal, the incident management, as well as problem change management, the Cmdb, the asset management module, that's again all ServiceNow.
And Gain, we had another question.
Yep, and
sorry.
This is Tim. Just to add some additional context, and then we'll take the next question. Just a clarification. So ServiceNow is a direct competitor with BMC Remedy. There are instances in which we integrate based on customer needs. So just to understand that, ServiceNow's expansion into the IT service management space really has come as a takeover of market share of the competition in that space. Over. Thanks.
Gain, this is Venkat. There's 2 additional questions that came in on the chat on this conversation. The first is regarding CAC authentication. It's whether user can access this from the commercial internet off base as well as NIPRNet, which is on base. And then the second question is whether ITAS is using incident management for base internal ticketing.
I'll answer the first question first. The second question first. So yes, so ITAS is using it for base internal incident ticketing, incident management or ticketing. So that's correct. And back to the first question, the way ITAS is set up right now, it is only accessible for GFEs or either GFE on the on-base network or through VPN. We are working with DISA right now, and when I say we, it's the ServiceNow team as well as SAIC, who is the prime contractor. They're working with DISA on providing IAP, which is access across the external networks as well. It was out of scope initially, but now it's in scope, so we'll be providing at least access to the portal to request services and submit tickets and things like that externally as well. Obviously, it will be CAC authenticated at that point too.
Gain, we have another question that's near and dear to my heart. Is there an Agile project management tool in ServiceNow based on tickets and workflows similar to Jira?
Absolutely. We've got a couple components, and we the way we do project management is we actually take a holistic approach to managing projects. And what I mean by that is we don't just take Agile or project management, we take it through the entire life cycle. So we've got an application called Ideation where folks are able to submit an idea. We've got another application that ties in, that falls directly behind Ideation once ideas are promoted or approved, called Demand Management, where we can track and manage requirements and stakeholders and funding and things like that. And then once those demands are approved, they then become projects, right? So you're running your project kind of like, I'm sure project managers have used Microsoft Project or some of these other tools. You've got your Gantt charts, you've got your roll-ups, you've got all that good stuff. Plus, one of the benefits is as you add these different tasks to your project, they're all completely dynamic. So, when a task goes in progress, emails are sent out to the person letting them know that they are on the hook. This is the start time, this is the end time. If the project slides right, that, people are given notifications and things like that. And then next, we also take it to the development side of things, where you're not just managing a project as a project manager with Gantt charts and things like that, but we can also manage development teams, agile development teams. And that piece of it, we directly compete with Jira. This is where we can kind of track your stories, your epics, your scrums, and pretty much everything. And I know as a part of this session, session one for these tech talks was focused on the service desk. I believe the third or the fourth one is focused on project management.
Okay, Gain, we have two more questions. So the first is there an ETA on when the external CAC access?
I do not know. I can check and get back to you. We'll check and get back to you. If you could get the contact information for the person who asked the question, we'll be happy to find that out.
Absolutely. And then the next question is, how do you populate the Cmdb since discovery is most likely not going to be allowed?
That's a great question. We are actually getting an approval to run our discovery for the 8 bases for ITAS. We're also working on several other programs and different opportunities where we can leverage our discovery. So there's a very good chance our discovery will be approved. The one thing about our discovery is we are unlike a lot of the agent-based systems where you need to install a utility on somebody's computer to do discovery. For us, we are agentless, right? So it will traverse through the network. It will pick up all these assets. It will pick up printers, servers, desktops, laptops, pretty much anything with a network IP address that can connect to a network, and we can aggregate that into our Cmdb. So that's one option. Another option is we can also integrate with your existing tools. And when I say your existing tools, I'm going to focus mainly on the Air Force. We know there are tools out there like SCCM and Tanium and several others. We can pull in data. We've got out-of-the-box connectors for all the major discovery tools out there, excuse me, that we can pull in data for. So there are two approaches. One is leveraging our discovery. Another one is integrating with one of your tools.
A follow-up question on that, Gain, actually just came in. And the question is, even though you're using agentless discovery, how will it affect the ATO for each base?
Yes, we'll have to do a separate ATO for each of them. And that's what we are in the process of doing right now. So because that process was going to take a little longer, as a part of phase one, we stayed away from the Cmdb, and well, we have the Cmdb, but the auto discovery is not turned on because we were told that the ATO process will take a little longer. So discovery is scheduled for phase 2. We went live in January of this year. We plan phase 2, I think, is scheduled for October, November of this year. So discovery will be involved. We are currently working through the ATO process. And SAIC would probably be better equipped to answer that question, so we can definitely follow that up with the SAIC team.
Thank you.
Okay, 2 more questions, Gain. And then we'll continue on with the demo. Folks, keep asking those questions because these are all very valuable and very important questions. So first one is there a facility management module function currently built in or that could be developed for ServiceNow?
The answer is yes to both. So we've got some standard facility management where we can track things like your facilities request through our service catalog that goes through approvals and workflows and things like that. But we also have some partner-built systems that, I know Loyola is one of the systems that comes to mind, that have been completely built on the ServiceNow platform that focuses mainly on facilities. And when I say facilities, I'm talking about space management, inventory management, and things like that, right? So yes, the answer is that. And then on the other spectrum, you've got a lot of customers who just say, oh, let's leverage the ServiceNow platform because it's a rapid application development platform. Let's leverage that to just build some facility solutions. So yeah, there are three options. You can use our standard out-of-the-box facilities, which is, I don't want to say rudimentary, but it gives you a foundation. Number two is leverage a application that's already built on ServiceNow, like a Loyola, or thirdly, just build it on the ServiceNow platform yourself, which again is not the fact that ServiceNow is a rapid application development platform. You can go to market pretty quickly with that.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. And then next question, and I'm going to put two of them together. So it is what impact level certification level is required to use the Cmdb and auto discovery, and will that discovery work with VPN?
Yes, that discovery will work with the VPN because at the end of the day, you're accessing the system through the VPN, but the mid servers, that's the agentless application we use to do the discovery. That's sitting on your network already. And typically, I'm not a information assurance specialist, but typically when it comes to Cmdb managing and tracking your assets and things like that, systems, the fact that you store IP addresses and location information, things like that. In most cases, from an IP perspective, that comes up to an impact level 4. At times, people ask for impact level 5 as well. The good news is ServiceNow supports both. ServiceNow has its own government community cloud that has a FedRAMP high certification as well as a DoD impact level 4 accreditation. On the other end, we also have, similar to ITAS, we also have a lot of customers leveraging ServiceNow in an AWS Impact Level 5 cloud or an Impact Level 6 cloud, and on the other end also on an Azure Impact Level 5 and Impact Level 6 cloud. So yes, so we've got an answer for all the different certification levels. I hope that answered the question, Jen.
I think so. And then he responded with another question is, where's the Cert documentation for IL5 located?
There's the documentation for IL5. So remember, when it comes to Impact Level 4, ServiceNow provides its own government cloud, right? The true software as a service. So we've got all that documentation for Impact Level 4. When it comes to 5, we are typically deployed on an Azure Impact Level 5 cloud or an AWS Impact Level 5 cloud. So we've got combined documentation from both Microsoft and AWS and ServiceNow, and that's something we can send it over.
Please send it. Thank you. Again, go ahead and continue on.
Okay. So I just wanted to, before I submit a ticket as John Smith, I just wanted to also point out Tech Cafe. This is a feature that's going to be leveraged a lot within ITAS. I know at this point, even though ServiceNow is live in 8 bases with ITAS, I think the project or the scope for the Tech Cafe was only Buckley. So anyway, so the folks who are on the Buckley base, at any point in time, they can click on the Tech Cafe, and obviously ServiceNow will know their location based on that. And this is a demo instance, so it's a San Diego Tech Lounge, but obviously in the real ITAS instance, it will actually show your location. And here's where you can actually submit your request. You need something, you want to request something, you've got all the different time slots, you've got the weeks of operation, the times of operation, and you can now schedule your appointment. Now, once your appointment is scheduled, you get an email notification, a reminder, as well as an Outlook invite. When it's time, you go to the Tech Cafe, you drop off your laptop or your computer or whatever personal device you need that needs support on. If the technician is able to fix it in 15 minutes, great. If not, what we could also do is we could actually provide you a loaner laptop with the exact same image, because we know in advance where you can actually take it and then you can go about your business, and then you can come back and pick it up once ready. So this is, again, a neat feature that's out of the box with ServiceNow. A A lot of customers are leveraging this. All right, let's go ahead and, since we are again focused a lot on the service desk, I'm going to submit a ticket, an incident. So John Smith comes in here. Obviously, again, all about the user experience, very easy to use. We brought up the out-of-the-box form, but this can completely be changed. You can configure this to any which way you'd like. If you're one of the ITAS users at the moment, you'd notice that there are a few more forms than what's visible over here. Again, at ServiceNow, it's the power of the platform where you can configure things very, very quickly. Obviously, on John Smith's behalf, if it's a personal equipment. Now, what's interesting is not only is ServiceNow a service desk solution, but obviously we've got the Cmdb, we've got the Amdb, the asset management database. So we know right off the bat what assets are assigned to John. In this case, we know that John has a Dell computer. Looks like he has a Cisco IP phone, a laser printer, and a keyboard. Right. So this is another benefit because we are able to actually automatically capture this information, so we don't have to type this. I'm focusing on a personal asset, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? You could be submitting a ticket for a system or a service, right? It could be you're not able to log into your Outlook or a Dean system or whatever it may be. Here are all the systems or the business offerings that are available as well. And based on what you submit, it gets routed to the right folks. I'm going to go ahead and leave it to Dell Precision. Now, what I'm going to do over here as John Smith is I'm going to just type in something. And as I'm typing, I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom of the screen. So as I'm typing, ServiceNow is working in the back end to come up with some articles. And these articles will help you with tier 0. And what I mean by this is instead of John Smith submitting a ticket and waiting for somebody to be assigned to it, work on it, and then provide the resolution, ServiceNow will give John Smith the opportunity to actually self-help, right? Tier 0 at the finest level, right? Be able to actually access documentation that's tied directly to the information he's entering. So here's one document. I know this is out of Hanscom, but here's where you can check to see how you can resolve VPN issues and a bunch of steps. Now, what's important over here is if John Smith goes ahead and fixes it, great. We have that one less ticket. There's less load on the service desk. Everybody's happy. But if John goes ahead and submits the ticket, we know in the back end that knowledge article did not help. So automatically we could put rules in there where it goes to a knowledge manager. They can check the content, make sure it's verify, make sure the information is correct, it's up to date, and things like that, right? So again, we focus on not just on business automation, but business improvement as well, process improvement. Since this is a demo where I'm submitting a ticket, I'm just going to go ahead and hit submit. Another benefit, when you hit submit, you're taken to the actual ticket, and you'll see this in a second. Very similar to the screen you saw about 10 minutes ago. You're seeing the number, the state, the priority, who's working on it, and pretty much everything. You don't have to make that phone call to check check the status of your ticket, so to speak. You're also able to collaborate with the service desk. So at any point in time, John can come here and just type in something. In this case, John is going to type restarted my laptop and issues still persist, and hit send. The technician on the other side will be notified via email, as well as if he's in the ticket, he'll see that message pop up. So again, a lot of collaboration as well. Okay, I did want to mention that once a ticket is resolved or once a request is fulfilled, every requester will also get a survey, and we try to keep the surveys as simple as possible, maybe a couple of frowny faces and a couple of smiley faces, from very dissatisfied to extremely satisfied. And based on your feedback, that kind of goes into us understanding how we can improve and the things we can do. The platform, again, helps you do that. All right, so that concludes the first part of the demo where you log in as John Smith and you submit that ticket. I wanted to make sure that some of the value propositions of that is that self-service piece of it, the improved user experience, the automated knowledge management to service tier 0 to deflect cases, to enable end users to be able to solve their tickets themselves, solve the issues themselves, And lastly, the virtual agent and the artificial intelligence to automate a lot of the functions that are currently manual. Okay, so with that said, I was going to move on to the other part of the demo where I'm going to log in as an agent, that's me, and work on this ticket. But before I do that, I wanted to take a quick pause to see if any additional questions.
Again, there's an additional question, but for the sake of time, we're going to start answering some of them in the Q&A, and for the ones that we need to escalate, we'll escalate to the speaker chat. So you'll feel free to go ahead.
Sounds good. Thank you, Venkat. All right, so I switched browsers, and while I was doing that, I just want to let you folks know that ServiceNow works with all the major browsers out there, whether it's Edge, IE, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. As long as it's not like IE 5.0, I think we should be good. All right, so if you can see, I'm logged in as myself. I'm going to be the agent for this demo. When I come in, the first thing I see is my prioritized weighted workload. Right, this is something that a lot of our customers have actually reached out to us about, where they tell us that, okay, you know what, we have this huge list of a huge backlog of tickets or requests, and if we just go by the priority field, we're not sure we're addressing the right ones, because a huge percentage of tickets that come in have critical priority, right? Either the agent has classified that as critical, or the end user has done that, right? So obviously the percentages are pretty high. You're not sure you're working on the most important or the most critical ones. In this case, what we do in ServiceNow is we have a score function where ServiceNow will automatically score each of the tickets or each of the items in your workload. And this score is basically populated from some predefined metrics or predefined KPIs or criteria rather that you provide us, right? And again, this is just a demo, so I'm just going with some of the out-of-the-box stuff. What we did is we said, okay, if a ticket is deemed critical, let's add 1,000 points. If it's reassigned more than 3 times, let's add another 100. Right? You can define your functions as the IT group or the IT team and say, okay, my criteria is if it's a high-ranking officer, let's add a couple thousand points. If it's a mission-critical system, let's add 5,000 points, right? So again, you define these formula up front, and then based on that, ServiceNow will automatically surface the most important tickets right up to the top. All right. So again, that's a major function where we understand that the most important things are worked on first before anything else. I do want to mention that we also have mapping functionality. So if you're an agent and you're providing support across different geographies, you're able to drill into different maps and locations within those maps, and then obviously drill into the tickets or the work or the tasks or things that you're working on, right? So again, this is something that we provide out of the box. There's also another dashboard that's available to every agent. This is more of the operations dashboard where you're looking at, the state of affairs today. Let me just minimize this really quick. Now, if you notice there, it's very intuitive, very interactive. You could do things like, let's say I'm looking at all these filters on the right side, and I don't care about the closed or the canceled ones. I just uncheck them. And every report and every widget in there gets automatically refreshed. I can play around with any of these widgets. So let's say, in this case, all my incidents are grouped by category. Let's group it by priority, and let's maybe stack it up by, let's go state. Right? So again, you can play around with data. You can slice and dice it any which way you'd like. You're able to also exclude things. So if you don't care about on hold, you just uncheck that. You don't care about the ones that are resolved, again, uncheck them. You can hover around any of this, you can drill into it, and you'll see the actual results as well. We don't have a separate business intelligence tool sitting on ServiceNow. This is all ServiceNow, right? So the business intelligence is contained within the platform itself. So everything is live. You don't have to worry about moving data over and things like that. All right, so anyways, I can see there's one ticket open today, and that was the one which I just created, or rather John Smith just created. You notice this list, so let me go ahead and click into it. the lag helped me grab that sip of water. All right, so you're seeing an efficiency right off the bat. So once I open up that incident, I see a message over here that says this incident was automatically categorized and assigned through intelligence automation. So using our machine learning techniques and our AI techniques, our AI functionality, we are able to take an incident and just based on some of the machine learning that we've learned over the past few months, we can automatically categorize it. We can automatically subcategorize it. We can add a configuration item. We can add an assignment group as well. So now that ServiceNow has seen, and before this demo, I submitted a bunch of tickets that were related to VPN, and I assigned it to and I categorized it as network and VPN and assigned it to the network group. What happened is ServiceNow trained itself to automatically do this. So again, this is a big efficiency where, when a ticket comes in, it doesn't have to sit on some backlog or on a list for somebody to pick it up, right? You don't want to waste time doing that. You want it to assign and route appropriately right off the bat. So again, another efficiency that can help resolve your incidents quicker. We also have a workflow at the top of the screen. If you notice, this is the standard idle workflow. If you've got your own requirements, we are able to configure the system to meet your workflows and your needs. All right, so as a technician, I'm able to look at the caller. I'm able to see all the related tickets that are tied to John Smith. So let's say I'm a technician and I need to go to John Smith's desk to resolve an issue. I can also look at all the existing tickets that John has submitted. Maybe I can, hit two birds with one stone, right? So things like that. You're also able to see all the assets that are assigned to John. You're allowed to see all his information as well based on your role in the organization. And things like that, right? Even with your categories and things like that, you've got your predictive analytics where you can drill into it and you can see all the network-related incidents. What's the resolution time looking like? How is it grouped by? And things like that. Again, all these analytics are out of the box. Here's where we can pull in the configuration management database to help resolve issues. So if you notice, the configuration item is the actual Dell computer. I can open up my dependency view, and at this point, I'll be able to see everything tied to this configuration item. This is not an application, so I'm not seeing any dependencies or things like that. It's a computer. But if I go into the details section, and some of these are blanked out because there's no data in it, but I'm able to see all the alerts tied to that computer, all the changes, whether it's planned or unplanned, all the incidents, and obviously you're looking at this incident right now, all the problems tied to it. You're looking at other kinds of financial and things like that. You're looking at security incidents as well, and vulnerability items. So we can pull in IAVMs from different systems as well. So it gives that service desk agent a holistic view of everything going on within that asset or within that configuration item. Right? He or she doesn't have to go looking for things across different systems. We can pull all that into ServiceNow to help with the troubleshooting. So that's one aspect to it, and obviously in this case I'm looking at his computer, and there doesn't seem to be any issues. Okay, Jen, did you say you have another question for me?
Yes, so it's a very similar question, and it's, I think, clarification around ITAS. So it says ITAS bases, they're using the incident management and asset management for internal base operations only, question mark.
I believe so. I'm not sure if there's anybody else on the ServiceNow team who can answer that question, but I believe it's for all the internal base operations. I would defer that question. If nobody on the ServiceNow team knows the answer to that, I would defer the question to SAIC, who is the prime contractor. But that's something we can take up for later.
I believe that's correct, Gain. I agree we can defer that question, but I believe that's currently only for internal base operations.
Understood. Okay. Back to the incident. Obviously, there's nothing going on with that configuration item. Let's go ahead and let's check and see what the VPN system looks like. Right? Obviously, John cannot log into the VPN, so let's go ahead and let's add the VPN business service to this ticket. And now let's again leverage that configuration management database to see what's going on. So I'm going to pull that up, and here's where I see a different topology map. Obviously, the VPN is a system. It's got infrastructure behind it. I do want to mention this is a public webinar, so this is not the exact infrastructure for the US Air Force VPN. This is something that we've just we've discovered from one of our labs, right? So just make sure everybody's aware of that. But this is what ServiceNow can do. This is what our discovery can do. We can actually pull up this entire topology map based on our discovery techniques. You can drill into any of these functions. You can see all the details tied to it. You're seeing the server, you're seeing all the details, you're seeing additional metrics, and pretty much anything to do with any of the different configuration items that make up this business service. Again, I'm also able to see a holistic view of everything tied to the service, including the changes, the alerts, the outages, and everything, right? So from here, I can determine if it's an issue with John Smith's VPN or his computer, or is it a bigger problem with the actual VPN system? Right, so in this case, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing there's some red over there. So obviously the VPN is down. At any point in time, I can come in here, I can do things, and this is remediation. We'll get into this a little more in one of our following sessions where we go into ITOM, IT Operations Management. But from here, we can do things like, restarting a server or applying more memory or things like that, right? So ServiceNow has the ability to do that. Also through alerts, it's telling us that you see CPU percentage for that particular CPU is a little over 80%. So that could be the reason. Again, it gives you that troubleshooting mechanism, root cause analysis, so to speak, for everything. You're also able to do comparisons. So looking at this map, if you want to see if anything has changed in the last few days, you're able to say, okay, let's compare point A with point B. In this case, I'm saying, okay, right now versus maybe a month ago, or a few days ago rather, actually it's a month ago, and I can hit compare. And because ServiceNow runs this discovery every 15 minutes or so, we are able to tell you exactly what was modified. So it's telling us on April 30th and April 26th that Apache server was modified. So maybe let's reach out to the VPN team to see what happened. Maybe that caused the issue, right? And that's why folks can log in. So again, this is all. Yes, Venkat.
A quick question on that endpoint discovery that just came into the chat. Can it also be used to identify a geographic location of configuration items?
Absolutely. Also from a sorry, I've been talking a lot. From a geography perspective, a lot of that information is stored on the network itself. So yes, we can pull all that info in.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. So that's that. I'm going to go back into the incident and go down towards the bottom. And obviously, I'm looking at a knowledge base. This is another option that's available. So if you're seeing these repeated issues, you don't want your agent to keep typing the same solutions. What you could do is once a ticket or problem is resolved, you can actually create a knowledge article directly, right? And once a knowledge article is created based on some of the searches and AI, you can automatically pop this up. So in this case, you're looking at a knowledge article that came up. If the agent wants to attach it, you click the attach button that says it's been added in the chat over here. At any point in time, I hit post. And what happens is this knowledge article gets posted to the actual incident. And I'm going to show you how it looks on the other end. So if I go in back as John Smith and I'm going to tab my browsers, let me go back to my requests. There you go. So that was it. If you notice, this is John Smith's view, who is the requester who had the issue with his VPN. He's now provided this this info in here. So obviously he can type, he can say thanks game. And on the other side, the agent can collaborate as well, right? So at any point in time, you open up your Connect and you're seeing all the information back and forth. So again, it enables that collaboration. So information comes to you. You don't have to always look into it. All this data is also transmitted via email as well. So that's something, if you're not logged into the system, you can still receive these alerts via email. Also, if anything happens to the in this ticket, everything gets logged in the audit, right? And that's obviously a great thing, but it also means you got to be careful in things you do, right? So let's say I change the impact and urgency to high, and I hit save. Oh, it's telling me I need to. required field I need to enter. So let me just enter some text in there. And if you notice, if I go back into the notes section, ServiceNow puts an audit entry in there that says, okay, the priority was changed by Gain Nazareth at this date and this time. The priority was low, now it's critical, and then the impact was medium, and now it's high, right? So every single field is automatically audited. So you come back 6 months, 10 months, 2 years later, you open up the incident or the request, and you'll see everything that's been done, an entire audit log of everything that's done. We're also capturing SLAs, so the fact that I actually updated the impact and the priority, the SLAs all change, right? So here's where we can track the response SLA as well as the resolution SLAs. Again, it's all workflow based, so let's say an SLA is breached, a workflow gets set out, a notification goes out, maybe it gets escalated, everything based on your requirements can be done. Obviously, you guys see all these different tabs over here. We can track expense lines. So if somebody works on this, when they close the ticket, we know exactly based on their billing rate, we know exactly how much that ticket has costed the Air Force. We can track your stories, your defects, your enhancements, pretty much everything tied to this in one spot. Another piece of this is because this is a full-fledged ITSM solution, among other functions with HR and SecOps and things like that, you're able, because it's that single unified platform, you're able to create problems, changes, defects, enhancements right from one click. So if this issue results in some sort of a defect that needs to go to a development team to fix, or an enhancement request, you can just click on this and you'll be able to create those defects and enhancements. And again, that can tie in with your project management, where you're tracking that from an Agile perspective or waterfall perspective, right, depending on your requirements. In this case, obviously, we know that this is not an issue tied to John Smith's laptop or his VPN access. It's more of a VPN issue because you saw red up there, right? What we recommend doing, because you'll probably see a bunch of incidents that come in, and you don't want to address every incident the same way, what you could do is you could actually create a problem. And from that problem, it's kind of like a parent-child relationship, right? The problem now becomes a parent, and you're seeing a workflow here. You're seeing the configuration item, the state, and all that good stuff, and the standard idle basic stuff all in here. But at any point in time, you're seeing that incident tied to this problem. So as these incidents come in, you've looped all of this under a single problem. So once you go ahead and actually resolve this problem, once you're done with your root cause analysis, you maybe initiate a change to do the break fix, all these incidents automatically get resolved. You don't have to go into each of them and actually resolve them separately. You're also able to post targeted communication. So if you want to send out a broad message to everybody that says, hey, the VPN is down, we know, don't submit tickets, we are working on it, you could do that from here, you could communicate workarounds, you can look at SLA timelines and things like that, right? So again, you can do all this in the context of a problem as opposed to looking at it from each incident.
Hey, Gain, this is Tim. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up on time. We were right at the top of the hour, so just wanted to make sure you're aware.
Awesome, thank you. So we've got about 20 minutes to a half hour left, right, Tim?
Yes.
Right. Okay, perfect. Also, I do want to mention from the actual incident, let's go back into my incident. This is another feature that's really user-friendly, where you can go into your history and you can directly click into it instead of looking for it in your search. From an incident, obviously, in this case, it's VPN, so it's obviously a major incident, something that requires folks, a bunch of folks' attention on it, right? You can actually promote this to something called a major incident, proposed major incident, and what happens when you do this, now you can actually have like a tiger team or things like that working on it, right? So let's go ahead and promote this. Now, once that incident becomes a major incident, now you can actually work on this as though it's not a specific issue for a specific person, but a agency-wide or a team-wide issue, right? So now at this point, you're looking at the actual VPN ticket, it's a major incident. You're looking at who it's assigned to, the category, the network. You're looking at all the impacted services. Again, because we have the Cmdb, the duration, what state it's in. You're looking at all the activity. At any point in time, you can also throw out notifications. You know, your whole team may be in a conference room working on this, but there may be people that are far away. You can send internal technical communications. You can send them out to stakeholders. You can pretty much notify and message this out to pretty much anybody. Again, you can run all of this from one single system. You also have your conference information over here as well, right, to bring folks on a team. We see this happen quite a bit. I know I was working with a different customer, DMDC. They do a lot of these things. You know, they have a tiger team to address some of the core and the mission critical incidents. So they just promote them to major incidents, and they have folks running this from here. Okay. Also, again, like I mentioned, if this results in a change, you know, you can automatically generate a change directly from here. If a change needs to be made to a system, let's go ahead and create a normal standard emergency change. In the interest of time, I'm just going to create an emergency change. One of the benefits of change management is we are able to make these changes with minimal disruption to IT services. Again, another huge benefit of having that Cmdb. So let's say in this case you've got, and I know I've got the precision thing, let's change that to, let's say, a Linux server or something that I'm actually making this change for. Let's go ahead and save it. And I'm going to move this forward. Mandatory fields that need to be filled out. Again, this can all be set based on your requirements. What's important here is now it's moved forward in the workflow, but also at any point in time, I can see all the impacted services. So I picked that Linux server as something I'm going to make a change to. It could be a planned maintenance, or it could be a non-planned maintenance, right? But just based on that CI, if you notice, I'm actually going to open up the same dependency view. And again, this is not Joe's computer. I changed it to a Linux server. Just based on that Linux server, I'm seeing, okay, that's tied to several different systems. So guess what? If we make a change to this, let's be proactive about it, right? Instead of, you know, making the change and all these systems failing, let's let people know that we've got a change coming in. Let's notify all these folks, who it's owned by, who it's managed by. Maybe you check all these boxes, you hit send email, let them know. But now you're getting ahead of these changes as opposed to making a change and something failing and then figuring out how to roll back. So this is, again, another great feature of having change management and your Cmdb. You can track all this from one place. Before I move on to the next persona, who is Sarah Anderson, who is the manager, I wanted to also show you folks, and I don't have to go through all of this, but you can risk assess, you can calculate your risk, you can do all these analytics. What's very important is you can actually define your workflow for change management. Now, this is the out-of-the-box workflow for change based on ITIL best practices. But I'm sure every organization, every IT group has their own processes. So in this case, we've used the ITIL best practices. If you notice, this is the workflow for this particular change. Everything in blue is what's complete. What's in green is what's in progress. So as this change moves forward, if you notice, it's currently in the authorized stage, which means a bunch of approvers in the CCB or the CAB has received the approval. I'm going to go ahead and approve as myself. Maybe I didn't receive an approval. Maybe I'm not a part of the CAB. I'm an admin over here too, so I'm just going to approve it as somebody else in the interest of time. You can also set rules where you say, okay, if one person approves, you have everybody approve, or you need a majority to approve, or you need everybody to approve. That's all, again, it can all be set by you. It's your preferences, it's your requirements. In this case, obviously, I set it up so that only one person needs to approve, so we can move this forward. All the other approvals have become no longer required. And on the other end, I'm going to refresh my workflow, and if you notice, it's moved forward in the workflow. Now, why this workflow is important, it actually gives you that information to improve your processes. So at any point in time, you can come back and you can say, okay, let me hover around this stage. How long has this stage taken me? How long has this taken me, right? So you can identify what the bottlenecks are in your change management system or any process across ServiceNow, and we can see if there's any room for improvement, right? So again, process improvement, not just process automation. And lastly, I wanted to show you that your CCBs or your CABs can all be automated as well. So you've got, let me open up a CAB. It's been a while since I did this one, but I thought since we're on the topic of change, might as well address them. So your CCB boards, or your CCBs, as they come up, you can actually have this within ServiceNow. Just my luck, I may not have anything on track. Okay, let me open up an existing one. Let's say this one, which was in June 2019. Obviously, we may not be able to see anything because it's at a past date, but I wanted to show you that you can track and manage your entire CCB from here. If you notice, the minutes are based on the minutes you set for the CCB, and you can set minutes for each of these items, right? And the item that's currently being discussed, this is actually a timer. So kind of like, for the folks who play fantasy football or or do any sort of gaming, you've got that timer, right? So 10 minutes and then 9 minutes, 59 seconds, 58 seconds, it goes. And then when it's done, it moves on to the next one, unless the administrator says, nope, let's continue to talk about this. You can have people snooze, you can have people do all kinds of stuff, right? Including your meeting notes, your attendees, your conference information. You can track and manage all your changes that are going to be discussed in your CCB right from here. And again, this is all in the system, so you can track and you've got the audit and you've got all that good stuff going on as well. Okay, I was going to move on to the next phase, and this is probably only 5-10 minutes, won't take too much time. I wanted to log in as Sarah Anderson, who is a manager, just to show you some of the managerial dashboards that we provide out of the box. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them right now.
There's no open questions right now on the Q&A or the chat.
Okay. I know we have some time, so maybe I'll address one more thing. I know this comes up all the time, how you filter and how you search through different tickets or incidents. Here's one example. You can easily do it from ServiceNow. You can click on the filter button, or you can say, oh, you know what, I want to only look at my critical items or whatever it may be, right? Maybe all the ones in progress. If you notice you've got 7,000 in this list, if I right-click on progress and I say show matching, I'm only seeing the ones in progress. There's 372. Maybe I only want to see the ones that are Joe employees tickets. Right-click and show matching, and I can filter this list. I can add these filters to my bookmarks, so at any point in time I can come back into ServiceNow and I want to see all of Joe employees tickets. It's just a simple drag and drop. Now I have a bookmark. I can name it, I can put an image, I can do all kinds of stuff over there. I'm also able to do something called what we call visual task boards. So if you don't like looking through a list, there's a different way of doing things. And let's see if I can maybe I pick up only the in progress ones that are assigned to somebody. So let's filter out all the assignees. From here, let's say from this list, which has 22 records, I want to kind of look at it in a different way, in a more Kanban view. I can right-click, show visual task board, and from here, I'm looking at this in a little different way, right? So instead of looking at it like a shopping list, I can see it based on a little more graphical method, right? So here I can see, okay, I have Fred Luddy working on 1 ticket, I've got Don working on 1, I've got Angelique on 4. Let's say Angelique has taken the day off, I can move it over to Yvette. Obviously, there are some required fields I needed to fill out, which I didn't. So, it'll pop that up, and I can enter those fields, and then obviously the assignment is made. But again, this is all drag and drop. I can filter through it. I can collaborate. I can do all kinds of stuff. If you're a fan of looking at things from a bigger picture, this is a good dashboard to use.
There's a question in the chat regarding these dashboards and the workflows around them. Can this be workflowed for resource boards for the purchase of IT equipment approvals?
Oh, absolutely. You can run this off of any list. I picked an incident list and I grouped it by assigned to, but you can group it by assets. You can group it by locations. You can pretty much do anything. You just pick a list, you right-click, and you can build this. And now once you build it, you can save it So you can actually use these, we call them visual task boards. You can use these task boards across anything in ServiceNow.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so moving on to Sarah Anderson, and I understand not everybody on this in this webinar is a manager or needs the managerial dashboard, so I won't spend too much time in this, but I just wanted to kind of show you some of the capabilities that we provide from a business intelligence perspective. And while this is loading, going back to the agent view of things, I just wanted to kind of recap some of the value propositions that we provide. Firstly, we could leverage AI, artificial intelligence, to automatically prioritize, categorize, and route tickets and requests. So it's not waiting out there in a black hole somewhere. Machine learning can take care of doing that. We also got the option to prioritize workloads, so you can put scores to your tickets and your requests. We've got a native integration with our Cmdb and Amdb to help with the root cause analysis, can increase your resolution times, can increase first call resolution rates. Obviously, when you resolve tickets quicker, you can work on important things, plus, your consumers or your end users are happier. Obviously, you've seen the collaboration between agents and requesters, as well as requesters and other requesters. And at the end of the day, it's a complete ITSM solution, right? It's not just your service desk, but we bring together problem and change and Cmdb and reporting and everything else to help improve your IT experience. So that's that. I'm logged in as Sarah Anderson. This is obviously a demo instance, so I can do that. I can log in as somebody else. In a production system, it'll be Cac authenticated, and you can only log in as yourself. Now, this is one example of a dashboard. You're looking at service availability, cost, customer satisfaction. We measure all this. So leadership is aware of how we are doing. We can also tie in health scores. So along the same lines, you can look at your customer experience, your performance, and your risk. And these are the different KPIs that go into each of these buckets. So let's say if the critical problems, the percentage of critical problems go up, guess what? Your customer experience takes a hit. Or if the overdue projects go up, again, it takes a hit, right? Same for performance. If the average age of incidents goes up or down, this number or this score again changes. And now we've got trends to see how you're doing, right? Is your score going up? Is it going down? What can we do to improve that? So again, all this is available to some of the leaders. These are some of the leadership dashboards. It's available to folks to actually help improve your service desk functions. We also have risk maps. I mean, in the DoD, we always talk about risk cubes and things like that. So again, that's available out of the box. You're able to also look at costs across, and I picked incident, but you could do this across change and problem and assets and pretty much everything. You're also able to actually dive into it per week or per tier. So if you're looking at, okay, how is my tier 2 doing? You drill into it and you're seeing the trends, you're seeing the records. Again, this is all live data. And lastly, you've got your Cmdb help, right? So this is something that leadership has access to, and we've broken this up into 3 buckets. We call it the 3 Cs. You've got your completeness, compliance, and correctness. When I say completeness, this is where when you define an asset or a class of assets or configuration items, you can say, okay, if it's, let's say, for example, a computer, you say, okay, if I have my discovery tools, which obviously could be ServiceNow Discovery or a combination of ServiceNow and other tools out there, if you say a computer needs, these are the mandatory fields, maybe the RAM, maybe the operating system, the disk space, whatever it may be, right? We come up with suggestions, but you can obviously alter those. If we pull in this data and some fields are missing, your completeness takes a hit, right? So we can address how complete your Cmdb is, or rather how incomplete it is, right, based on this. How compliant it is. So what we could do is through our GRC, Governance, Risk, and Compliance, you can set policies. As an example, if there's a policy that says every server needs an antivirus installed on it, if our discovery or a combination of our discovery and some of the other tools comes back and we find a server that does not have antivirus installed on it, your compliance will take a hit. And lastly, correctness. Here's where we can find duplicate or orphan CIs out there. I don't know how many times I've had conversations with CIOs that tell me that, we've got all these virtual machines running up there with no associations to anything else, and we just don't have visibility into it. So here's where you can actually have your correctness, right? And based on that, you can make business decisions whether you need to turn them on or keep them running in order to save money, right? Money and resources. So that's, again, another neat feature that can kind of help you increase that visibility for leadership. And I've done it at the Cmdb level, but you can drill into pretty much anything, right? So these are all the CI classes. Let's say I pick, I don't know, I'm just going to go ahead with communication device. You'll see your Cmdb scores based on the actual hierarchical, based on the class, rather, that you select. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you folks from a leadership perspective. For the dashboards, we have several others. We're happy to distribute, some of the KPIs that come out of the box. I know from ITSM, I believe there's over 400 KPIs that just come out just for ITSM. Now, when you include ITOM and some of the other functions, we're in the thousands, right? So you've got all this available. You just got to focus on which ones are most important to you, and we can help you with that. With that said, I was going to open the door to any more questions.
Again, we did have a question that we answered in the Q&A chat, but I figured it would also be good to address it live. How are users' roles and groups administered? And can you use Ldap and have project managers administer those user permissions to either different applications or to the user experience?
Absolutely. Let me open up a user record. I will help answer this question. Okay, so this is the record of all the users in ServiceNow, right? So, and I do want to mention ServiceNow is a roles-based system. So everything in ServiceNow, everything you access, whether it's a read-only access, whether it's a write access, whether it's accessing a form but not seeing certain fields on the form or certain workflows, things like that, it's all done through roles. And what I mean by that, and it's roles and groups, obviously, what I mean by that is, in this case, I'm looking at Chris C. Stark. You can define what roles this person has. Maybe this person is a project manager. You assign that role to this person. Maybe that person is a technician or a help desk worker. We just assign it that way, right? So again, it's all roles-based. Regarding Ldap, yes, we can pull in data from the Air Force's Active Directory to pull in roles and things like that, right? We can pull in authentication information where you can pull in things like first name, last name, Active Directory, user. Obviously, we won't store the password since we do the authentication directly with Active Directory through Ldap. But we can pull in all those roles from Ldap itself. Now, even though we pull that into ServiceNow, all the roles for all the applications are run from ServiceNow. So if you make an update on this end, during the next refresh, we'll just make sure that Active Directory is aware of that. Did that answer the question?
Yep, that answers the question perfectly. Thank you again.
Perfect. Are there any other questions, Venkat or Jen?
There aren't any other questions in the Q&A or chat, although Tim has posted a general announcement, which is that if there are ideas for the next webinar, or if there's any interest in how ServiceNow is supporting service strategy, basically any additional ideas, please feel free to put them either in the Q&A or the chat, and we can address them for future sessions as well.
I also do want to make sure that we make an announcement about our annual user conference. So Knowledge 2020, obviously due to COVID, will be held virtually this year. 80% of the presentations are hosted by customers and partners. We surpassed 50,000 attendees, and we're anticipating 100,000 attendees over the 6 weeks that the sessions will be held. So if you have any questions and you need any help getting registered, please let us know. You can register yourself at knowledge.servicenow.com.
Hey, Tim, I'm good. I wasn't showing anything. I was just kind of popping up screens as you spoke. Tim?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, are we ready to wrap?
Yes, I am. Yep. Unless there are more questions. I know
We do have one more question. Can endpoint discovery identify applications and bump that against the authorized license?
Absolutely. And that's what we do for a software asset management module, and that's something that we are going to be plan on demonstrating as a part of the series. We are agentless, right? So we can pull in data. We can pull in a lot of data from different devices and configuration items, but we're also dependent on agent discovery tools, like, for example, SCCM. Based on some of those entitlements and usage, we can pull up information like this, right? Things that are out of compliance, usage rights, reclamation, and things like that. So yes, stay tuned for the software asset management demo that's to come. I'm not sure the exact date, but the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and close out the webinar. We appreciate everyone attending. Thank you so much for giving us your time and attention, and thank you for the collaboration. Really appreciate the engagement, the questions. We do have a couple that we are going to be following up with, as long as we've received your email address. If we have not, please send that in the chat. Thanks again for attending, and have a great day.